The request to be present at the International Book Fair in Frankfurt had to be placed before the bishop, and it is wise to do things at a distance and not to move from the hermitage. So here is the equivalent at a distance. What actually happened? This, in a few words, is the true story. My mother was composing music, and I thought I would add some words to it. Hence began in earnest the writing of Welsh and then English poetry, and then French came in afterwards. Essentially what happened was that in the complete solitude of the Carthusian cell, days were being recorded, events such as they were being put down, and the emotions in the heart were being crystallized and put on record. Eventually, because a lot of them were in Welsh, the Welsh-speaking bishop who had confirmed me got wind of it and asked the authorities of the order to let them be published because they were of interest in Protestant Wales. And that led to a certain irritation coming from the top. The Reverend Father in the Grand Chartreuse wrote quite a harsh letter to that bishop. He did allow one volume only anonymous, but then it had to stop. Moreover, he did maintain the order given by my own prior to destroy anything else I wrote. With regard to destroying what had already been written, it had been saved by my father. And that is what actually is here in the first of the 3 volumes, that period. Although that did contribute to my going back to La Trappe afterwards, it wasn't the sole motive. I had wanted to go to perpetual silence. I had tried to get into the Camaldolese order to be a recluse, to take the place of Don Damien, one of our monks who had gone there and been the last to die in reclusion there at Camaldoli. But that had not been encouraged. The problem was that I was aware that the prior and indeed the Reverend Father in the Grand Chartreuse were really unhappy about anything to do with publication or poetry. And so I got the message. Now, after 2 years, I asked that same bishop who had written if I could become a hermit in Wales. I was still at La Trappe. He didn't allow it, and I was going to make my vows at La Trappe at that point, but the novice master encouraged me to go to another house, to Ross Cray, because they had a more academic life there, and I should have stayed there. It was a good community. However, I was unwise. I tried to start something in North Wales, but it wasn't working. The hierarchy weren't really pushing it or really wanting it. So I returned to the classic monastic life. It's a fairly long story, but it worked out in the end, and I was able to be ordained in Italy and to finish my studies there in Rome with eventually the doctorate, while carrying on writing until at least very recently, but now it's a question of getting it all together. So it's over 1,000 pages, and it has to be divided into 3 volumes, hence a trilogy. 2 volumes are now available on Amazon, and the 3rd volume is being worked at bit by bit, because there's a lot of work there. It's over 400 pages, and the work is being illustrated. So Empire Press is a good one, and they're working on that with the highest quality illustrators and editors. So it's a patient work. I'm trying to eliminate any errors whatsoever, which takes time, especially as there are different languages involved. So that is the story in a nutshell. The situation here is that the Bishop of Meath, whom I still see every month, that is the retired one, was very kind to me, took me on, has been very good to me, visiting me every month, and now I go to him every month because of his age. And the successor is also good to me, and it works out calmly, just a life of prayer. So it is the Carthusian life essentially on one's own, with just one public celebration a week, which is in Latin, the High Mass in the Old Rite, with permission, in a church near here, which is stable and well attended, with confessions for quite a long time before and after. So that's the story in a nutshell. Anyone who has an interior life would be interested probably in having these volumes, because they do contain meditations of a certain intensity. So it is an open door to the interior life as lived in a contemplative monastery. Graces being recorded, things being analysed and seen with the eyes of faith. All the moments are there, including profession and ordination, the moment of the doctorate and so on. It's all stuff which has been put on record, with moments of joy and pain being crystallized on the page.